Well, this Sunday in our church, we have baptisms. And as I was preparing for Sunday, I just assumed that why baptism was going to be my message. And I sat down and I began to engage it, looking at scriptures, looking at the doctrinal position, the assemblies of God, all these things. And there was just a dissonance in my heart. This wasn't what God has. And I hate when God has a plan and I have a different one. I just figured I could push through and just go ahead and teach on baptism, get this out of the way. But the Lord wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me continue down that road. And I began on a path for a message that seems so relevant with the course of this week. Wednesday I came home for lunch and I started watching the news, and I pretty much watched the news the rest of the week, captivated like most others in this nation about what happened with Charlie Kirk, his assassination, and all that transpired from that. On September 11th, as I was watching the news and they were doing memorials for the September 11th and talking about everything that was going on in Utah, the news anchor several times said, "This is such a heavy day in our nation." Over and over again, I heard this idea of heaviness. And as I was planning, as I was preparing, there was an idea I had in my heart that I wanted to preach on. It really was about the idea of the heaviness of this world. We live in a world where people seem to be burdened. Burdened by the history, burdened by events, burdened by self, burdened by stuff. People seem to be walking around with a lot of heaviness. There's a story in the Old Testament, it's a story of Moses. I want to read it, the rabble. They began to crave other foods, and again, the Israelites started wailing and said, "If only we had meat to eat." Remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. We also ate cucumbers, melons, leeks, and onions and garlic. But now we've lost our appetite. We never see anything but this manna. The manna was like coriander seed, looked like resin. The people went around gathering it and then ground it in a hand mill or crushed it in a mortar. They cooked it in a pot, made it into loaves, and it tasted something like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled at the camp at night, the manna came down. Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance of their tents. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. There was heaviness. He asked the Lord, "Lord, why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you have put the burden of these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant to the land that you promised on oath to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, 'Give us meat to eat.' I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. I've found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin." Moses was a man who was burdened. A man like many people today that was carrying a burden in his life. So often we are going through life carrying burdens. Moses' burden was personal burden. He heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance to their tents. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me? Moses, the burden he starts to feel as he sees the response of the people was, what have I done? Why am I in this position? So many times we have personal burdens that we carry. It might be guilt. It might be shame. It might be sin. It might be sickness. But whatever it is, there might be thoughts or ideas or conceptions of what we're supposed to be. But we carry them in ourselves. Moses was burdened by personal burdens. Not just personal, but social. Did I conceive all of these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised as an oath to their ancestors? Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing to me, 'Give us meat to eat.'" Moses started to carry the burden of the people. those that were around him. He saw their hunger. He saw their frustration. He saw what they were enduring, and he began to place that burden on himself. I get it. Galatians tells us to carry each other's burdens, but at times we can be so burdened by the stuff that's around us. That's the news that we watch, the media cycles that we're a part of. They don't directly affect us, but we see, we resonate, we empathize with those that are there, with our friends, with our family members, with those in our church bodies. We begin to carry burdens with them. Are you burdened? Not only do we carry personal and social burdens, but sometimes there's a religious burden that we carry. I can't carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you're going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin. Sometimes we put undue pressure from God in our lives. We're afraid of failure. We're afraid of not meeting the standard that he set before us. And we allow spiritual things to become an undue burden in our lives. Moses, God, I know you called me to lead these people, but I can't do it. So if I can't do this, you're going to have to set me free. You're going to have to kill me just to set me free from this. You know, we have personal burdens. We have social burdens. We have spiritual burdens that we carry. How are you feeling with your load today? Matthew chapter 11. I want to read some verses in Matthew chapter 11. It's a chapter that begins with John sending his disciples. John's been arrested to go see Jesus and find out if he's the one. The disciples go, but the crowd doesn't respond very well. And the disciples of John begin to depart, and the crowd is against Jesus. And there's this really powerful moment where Jesus begins to compare the people who are walking away to Sodom and Gomorrah, to nations that were destroyed. To these unbelieving and unrepentant people, he talks very coarsely. And then kind of out of the blue, we get Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you who are wearied and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me, for I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. You know, it seems as though Jesus is offering this plea. He's giving this offer to the confused, to the discouraged, to the broken in the midst of this argument. He says, all you who are wearied and burdened. The men, the women, the law was burdening them. John's disciples were confused because John had been arrested. You know, there was so much going on in their lives. To those who are weary, the Helps Word Study says that's to labor until worn out, to the ones who were depleted or exhausted. Do you recognize? Does your life resonate with that invitation to those who are weary, the ones who are worn out, depleted, and exhausted? Or burdened, right? They're literally overloaded or packed up, causing someone to be weighted down. Are you weary and burdened? Weary and burdened personally, socially, or spiritually? Are you overwhelmed in your life, in the position that you're in? Because God made a promise in Matthew chapter 11. That's a promise that is still ours today. I will give you rest. Come to me if you're wearied and burdened, and I will give you rest. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Jesus wants to give that spiritual rest to his children. We just have to do what? We have to come unto him. Earlier in John 7, Jesus says, let anyone who is thirsty, let them come to me. There's the reality that at times we try to carry our burdens alone. We try to shoulder them by ourselves. And Jesus is saying, hey, come to me. We might have to leave a position. We might have to leave a comfort zone, but we have to come to Jesus Christ. That's where there's refreshing. He says, take my yoke upon you. A yoke, a wooden bar placed over the neck of a pair of animals so they can pull together. It's what unites two people to move and work together as one. Isn't it compelling to a weary people? He says, come and take my yoke. Because he recognizes that he's going to be the one who shoulders the load. God wants to walk in this life with you. Jesus Christ came as Emmanuel, which is God with us. He wants to go step by step with you. I remember when my kids were small and we'd get ready for meals here at church, we'd get tables out and they'd want to help. And so we'd pick up the tables and Dad, I'm picking up the majority of the table, but my son, he might be 3 years old, would grab the other side of that table. And boy, he felt like he was doing the work before him. But I tell you what, if you get out of step, if you get out of sync in that yoke, you can start to get to where you're trying to pull, right? And that's where the weariness, that's where the burdens come from. I catch myself running ahead of Jesus and wondering why it's so hard. I just need to come to him, yoke with him, and allow him to work with me. Are you burdened? Cast your cares on the Lord. He will sustain you. He'll never let the righteous be shaken. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders, the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer, perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is an everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow weary and tired, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary. Young men stumble and fall, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That is God's promise for you. If you're tired and burdened, if you're overwhelmed by the circumstance, socially, personally, spiritually, the things in your life, there is a God who longs that you would come to him and find rest for your soul. He doesn't want you to be weary. Last month, we went to Hills Alive, and there's a song that I'm going to put in the comments. David Crowder sang a song that had this idea. I was laying there, because I'm not really a crowd goer, on the ground. My son had his head on my chest, and the chorus said, lay down your burdens. Lay down your shame. All you who are broken, lift up your face. O wanderer, come home. So you're not too far. So lay down your hurt. Lay down your heart. Come as you are. And as we sat there in Rapid City, South Dakota, listening to David Crowder sing, I said, Lord, I just need to lay my burdens down. And as I laid there, there was a peace of God that guarded my heart, that filled my life, that I needed in that moment. That's a peace that is ours today. It's a peace that's yours. Come to him, all who are weary and burdened, and he will give you rest. The Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you. Be gracious to you. May he turn his face towards you, grant you his peace. And may you find that rest from the burdens that you've been carrying. Be blessed.